Well, it's official. Sony has pulled an Uno reverse card on themselves. It's Sunday, so let's get sensational. I'm Mike, and yes, Sony has indeed folded. So last week we talked about the PSN account requirement for Helldivers 2 that Sony was trying to enforce on the PC version of the game months after it's been out. This resulted in the game getting review bombed on Steam and fans just generally being upset. Now, there was a part of the story that I missed last week, which is that PSN is not actually available in every country that the game was being sold in. So there were people who would have straight up not been able to play the game because they couldn't sign up for PSN. So Sony removed the game from Steam in 177 countries and territories that didn't have PSN. So yeah, the whole thing was a mess. So finally, after continuously making everything worse, the official PlayStation account posted the following on X. Helldivers fans, we've heard your feedback on the Helldivers 2 account linking update. The May 6th update, which would have required Steam and PlayStation Network account linking for new players and for current players beginning on May 30th, will not be moving forward. We're still learning what's best for PC players, and your feedback has been invaluable. Thanks again for your continued support of Helldivers 2, and we'll keep you updated on future plans. So yeah, Sony has backpedaled on the PSN account requirement because it was stupid. It just wasn't well thought out to begin with, considering how many countries would have been affected, and people in those countries who already bought the game and not being able to access it anymore. That just would have been stupid. And plus, Sony has been pushing to have more of a presence on PC, and that wouldn't really have helped, especially with them possibly announcing another PC game soon. So Ghost of Tsushima is coming to PC in a couple of days, but it's probably not going to be the last exclusive to come to PC this year, as there's rumors that originated from the site Dia Labs, I hope I said that right, that Sony will be holding a showcase this month and will announce the PC version of God of War Ragnarök. Now the rumor doesn't have a release date, just that it will be announced this month, and this does make sense with Sony's push to put more games on PC, and of course God of War 2018 is already on PC. Plus, you got both the Horizon games that made it to PC too, so yeah, it seems like this is very likely to happen. I'm just wondering if in the future we'll see shorter exclusivity windows before these PlayStation exclusives release on PC. Because I know a lot of people will want to play them on the brand new ROG Ally. Well, new-ish. So Asus already teased that they were working on a new version of the Ally that was going to come out later this year, and now we have the name and the release window. So Asus is calling the new device the ROG Ally X, and they will have the official announcement and reveal next month on June 2nd, with a planned release date sometime in the second half of this year. Now, if it's like the original Ally, they'll probably release it a month or two after the reveal, but there's no need to get excited if you have the original Ally, because this is really just a refresh of the current device. So the ROG Ally X is going to have the same processor and screen, but will offer a larger battery, which Asus is claiming is 30 to 40% more capacity. They're also rearranging the motherboard, allowing for larger size SSDs instead of the small 2230 ones that the current Ally and the Steam Deck use. The reason this is good because the larger ones are still cheaper than those smaller size ones, even though they have come down in price. I actually upgraded my Ally recently to a 1TB SSD for around 80 bucks, but if the Ally had a more standard size M.2 drive like a 2280, I probably could have got a 2TB for around the same price. They're also moving the SD card slot because they had a lot of issues with the slot dying on the original Ally, and this is rumored to be because the slot is right next to the exhaust, causing overheating issues with the SD card slot. Now, I haven't personally experienced an SD card slot issue with mine, but it's kind of a known issue for the Ally right now. Now, to be fair, Asus did comment and they claimed that they did not move the SD card slot because of that issue, but I'm just gonna say, child please. But either way, this is more akin to like a Steam Deck to Steam Deck OLED situation, where it's not a huge upgrade spec wise for someone who already has that current version of the handheld. Alright, it's time to transition to what feels like has become a regular thing lately, and that's layoffs and studio closures. And this time it's from Microsoft. So Microsoft already laid off 1,900 people from the Xbox team in January, so it's a little bit surprising that they're closing studios after this, but it has been confirmed that both Arkane Austin and Tango Gameworks have been closed. Arkane Austin most recently developed Redfall, which that game didn't take off as Microsoft expected, and it had a bunch of issues at launch. Tango Gameworks most recently put out Ghostwire Tokyo and Hi-Fi Rush, which that game actually was a bright spot in Xbox's catalog, and they recently announced that they were bringing it to other consoles, so it's surprising that they closed that studio. Now, both of these studios came under Microsoft as part of their purchase of ZeniMax, Bethesda's parent company, so it's possible that maybe they cared more about some some of the bigger studios from that purchase and not some of the smaller ones. Obviously, Bethesda's a really big studio and they release huge games, like they released Starfield last year and they're working on Elder Scrolls 6. So obviously they're not going to close like Bethesda, but it's still surprising that these studios got shuttered considering that they recently put out games. Now, Redfall still had DLC that was promised, but that has now been canceled. Arkane Studios tweeted that anyone who purchased the Bite Back Edition or the premium upgrade for the game are eligible to receive a refund of the value of the upgrade. They also said the servers will remain online for people who want to play the game. And to clarify, Arkane isn't completely closing, it's just specifically Arkane Austin. So it was the main Arkane studio that made that tweet. Now, to make matters worse, the day after the studio closures, the head of Xbox Game Studio, Matt Booty, held a town hall, and during this town hall, apparently he told the Xbox team that they need smaller games that give them more prestige and awards. Which is obviously stupid considering that they just closed a studio that made Hi-Fi Rush, a smaller game that gave them prestige. And it won a lot of awards. So after that whole thing made its way around the news cycle, a former Tango Games Work project manager posted on Twitter a picture of some of the awards that Hi-Fi Rush won with a caption that said, "Not enough?" And I really feel for the team, especially with Hi-Fi Rush. I mean, Ghostwire Tokyo wasn't amazing, but Hi-Fi Rush did all the things you would want a smaller game to do. And I've really been enjoying it, and it sucks that we'll probably not get a sequel from it. But outside of that, just knowing that you got laid off, and then your former boss is like, yeah, we need smaller games that win a bunch of awards and they're prestigious, when you literally just made a successful game that was exactly like that. I'd be mad too. And there was also a recent interview with Xbox President Sarah Bond with Bloomberg, where she was asked directly why Tango Games Works was closed after putting out a successful game like Hi-Fi Rush. And she basically gave a non-answer. She kind of alluded to each studio's success is measured individually and depends on what their vision of the future is. Something along those lines. It wasn't a real answer. So to say the least, people are not happy about these closures. And I'll add from a personal standpoint that these are actually studios that are putting out games. Microsoft has purchased a lot of studios with very little output. And yes, Redfall wasn't amazing, but they did have that surprise hit with Hi-Fi Rush when they really needed it. And plus, we know that Microsoft as a whole is one of the most profitable companies in the world. If there's anyone that could have taken a financial hit to save people's jobs, give them another chance, they could have done it. All right, let's transition from Microsoft over to Nintendo because we got the big news that everyone's been waiting for. Yes, it's true. Nintendo has finally announced that they're removing Twitter integration from the Switch. So out of the three consoles, Nintendo was the last holdout after Twitter drastically increased the fees to use their API. And finally, Nintendo was like, nah, it's costing too much. So as of June 10th, direct sharing to Twitter will no longer be available on the Switch. But I'm sure Nintendo staff will still post things on Twitter like the acknowledgement of the successor to the Switch. You know what, that's funny because I was actually going to talk about that today in our final story. So rumors about the Switch 2 have been running wild recently, brother. The most recent rumor was about the magnetically attaching Joy-Cons. We also had rumors about the 8-inch screen and the performance being around an Xbox Series S with DLSS enabled. But the main thing we didn't have was Nintendo acknowledging that they're even making another system. Well, it's finally official that Nintendo is making another system and it will be announced soon. So Nintendo's president posted the following on the official Nintendo account on Twitter. This is Furukawa, president of Nintendo. We will make an announcement about the successor to the Nintendo Switch within this fiscal year. It will have been over 9 years since we announced the existence of the Nintendo Switch back in March of 2015. We will be holding a Nintendo Direct this June regarding the Nintendo Switch software lineup for the latter half of 2024. But please be aware that there will be no mention of the Nintendo Switch successor during that presentation. So basically, the Switch 2 will be announced sometime between now and March of 2025. That's when their fiscal year ends. They probably did this so people won't come to the Direct next month expecting an announcement about hardware. But if they're saying this, then I doubt they'll wait until March to actually announce the next system. And I expect it'll probably be within the next few months. I feel like putting this out there probably just makes it easier if they have directs going forward, like after June, so they could just tell people, like, hey, this is not going to be about the next system. But overall, I'm anxiously waiting to see when they officially reveal this thing. But let me know in the comments when you think that Nintendo will officially announce their next system, the Switch X. That's what I'm going to call it from now on. Again, let me know down below. And if you enjoyed this video, then make sure to tell a friend, tell a coworker, like, share, subscribe, and hit that bell notification to be notified when I drop a video or a live stream. I always do at least 2 things at the same time.